Like Dave said, you want to pony up the cash, we could put up together the gig. That's not the problem. And we are on to letter number 10, and it comes from the fourth Dave Moses. And he says, I wanted to address Van Halen album cover art over the years. Dave helmed all the Van Halen concepts from picking their name to logo to the art, mostly, and that was a strength. The Van Hagar album art pretty much sucked. 5150 was horrible. A man, I'm staring at half a naked man. OU812, it was okay, a little dark for the 80s, fun decade, but at least you saw the band. Fuck. What a terribly looked like a red alligator skin. Never until you mentioned it did I think of it as a school book. Right here, right now, what the fuck? Death, destruction? What a downer. Dave would have never chosen that. Balance? Naked Siamese twins? What the fuck? That's not fun. Van Halen 3, another half-naked man? Come on, fellas. Best of both worlds. Eddie Stripes? Boring. The first 6 Van Halen album covers are for all intents and purposes great, as they are iconic. Some are better than others, but they will all speak volumes and are memorable. Not, however, such a fan of a different kind of truth. Who cares about that train? The first 6 albums spoke of the band's fun, and it brought out some social commentary on A Fair Warning, which is Street Life, in 1984, The Angel Smoking, Debauchery. I know you have delved deep into album art already, but do you have any thoughts? Dave Moses. Well, yes, Dave, I do have some thoughts, and I'll tell you real quick. Van Halen was never great with album art, as far as I'm concerned. The best of the lot is Van Halen 1, Women and Children First, in 1984. I love the photos on Van Halen 1. I love the photos on Women and Children First. 1984, great concept. Margot killed it. It was just, that's like an iconic cover, fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of the covers suck.
Well, as big of a fan as I am of the first 6 albums, and as big of a fan as I am of the Diver Down album,
yeah,
I will be the first to admit that album art, which is basically the Diver Down flag, is nothing to write home about. So I don't necessarily agree that the first 6 album cover art is iconic, because I wouldn't say, not really. I mean, even the debut album is like a typical debut album cover of its day. Pictures of the band with a logo on it. I mean, everybody was doing that. The second album cover has the logo on it. Okay, that's cool, but, it's just the logo. The third album cover is a picture of the band with a green border. I mean, it's a great picture, but I don't know, it kind of looks like it was slapped together pretty quickly. If you want to talk about depressing art cover, the Fair Warning album, that's got to be one of the most depressing album covers they ever did. In terms of 2 guys fighting on the cover. So as an artistic statement, it's decent, but if you're talking about depressing, that's there. And I don't think the Sammy stuff was so horrible. I don't think the 5150 album was that bad at all. I thought it was kind of clever, especially when you look at the front and the back.
Right.
The For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was kind of cool because, like I said, it looked like a book cover. And I think at one point, like the early press ones, wasn't it textured, Dave? Was it textured like a book cover?
That's a damn
or am I just
good
completely...
question.
Or am I remembering that wrong?
You're talking about? Are you talking about a vinyl or a CD or what?
Well, the CD definitely wasn't, but okay. I thought maybe vinyl was, but it was 91. Vinyl was on its way out.
Oh God, yeah.
I want to say there was some kind of embossing going on there, but anyway. But even so, I didn't think it was so bad, and I didn't have a problem with the twin seesaw. The Van Halen 3 album cover I just thought was goofy.
Wow.
The guy getting hit in the gut with a cannonball, that pretty much describes the album to a T, quite frankly. I don't necessarily think the Sammy art is that much worse than the Dave era art. And by the way, I really like the Best of Both Worlds album cover.
Yeah, I do too.
Because they finally put Eddie's guitar stripe color on an album cover like they should. Yeah. And that one was actually textured and embossed with like dents and scratches.
Yeah, they had
like
the cigarette burn, yeah.
Right. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and
I like that
clever.
one.
So,
especially for a best of, yeah.
Right. Especially because a best of art. I mean, that could have. That's almost the ultimate irony. Is that most best of art is just, whatever the record company can pull together.
Yeah.
But this was actually, I thought it was halfway decent.
Right.
I mean, there were no pictures of the band in there because, God forbid they should do that. But,
Right.
But what can I tell you? So, Van Halen cover art is always an interesting topic because those guys are like hit or miss. And like with 84, they really knocked it out of the park. But a lot of the times, I don't hate it as much as you do, but yeah, sometimes they just thought it was funny and clever and ha, and it really wasn't all that home to write about. But I don't really even care about that all that much. I'm more focused on the music. I'll let a lousy album cover pass if the music's good.
That's true. And we are on to letter number 11, and this is from John Conklin. He says, I listened to your Andy Aladort interview, and I must say I was shocked by his honesty. I have a feeling that if Ed ever heard this interview, Guitar World might not be getting any more exclusive if there ever were any. LOL. I thought he was a bit rough on Alex. The bet about all the mics on the drum kit and about getting Bonham's drum sound was ridiculous. About needing to record in a castle or whatever, Alex isn't a stupid guy. They built an ambient drum room with 20-foot ceilings and hired Andy Johns and gotten some amazing drum sounds since 1991. And there was confusion about the amazing guitar he was talking about that he played. One of you mistakenly thought it was a 5150 Kramer, and he said it was used on Live Without a Net or whatever. I'm pretty sure he was talking about the Amber Ernie Ball with a black 5150 stickers being a living, breathing thing and not the Kramer 5150. Interesting interview. I'm sure Brad Tolinski won't be thrilled if he hears it, LOL. Especially the part where Andy went looking for Brad and Brad was happy that he got him away from strange Alex. Ed is a sensitive guy and I'm sure he'd be like, fuck this guy if he heard the part about him playing the Clapton lick wrong. That said, it was an uncomfortably good listen. Well, John, I tell you, look, understand something. Andy's a hell of a guy and a hell of a guitar player. He was incredibly straightforward and honest of his assessment. That's it. That's all it was. It was an assessment of what he witnessed at 5150. Andy is a tremendous guy. He's a very talented writer, and he's a very talented player. He's a very smart guy. He knows what he's talking about. So I wouldn't get so upset about it, and, you can't be so precious about everything surrounding the Van Halen brothers. So you can't worry about that. He saw what he saw, and he witnessed what he witnessed. That's it. Nothing more than that. What do you think, Dave?
Well, Andy, as he admitted, does have a little bit of a smart-ass New Yorker in him. So, he was definitely asking Alex some questions and riding him and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And plus, this is 20 years later? Over 20 years later after the interview.
Yeah, I think.
So, I mean, like you said, he was just telling us what he saw when he was there. Which is really all we want. I mean, we're not looking for people to spill dirt or anything.
No.
But we're not looking for people to sugarcoat it either.
Right,
so we're just looking for you to tell us what you saw that day, what your perception and what other people told you. And, don't dress it up one way or the other. And that's what we got. I mean, I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I didn't even know there was, the fact that there was somebody else there when Billy was interviewing Ed. And the fact we interviewed this individual and he saw what was going on and just gave a third-party assessment of how all this stuff was going down. I was eating all that up. I thought it was phenomenally interesting.
Absolutely.
So,
he was excellent.
Yeah. I mean, so you never know the kind of guests you're going to get and what stories they're going to tell. And that one was just really good in terms of, wow, I had no idea what to expect, but it came out really nice. So,
absolutely.
The fact that Ed and Al maybe don't act or behave in a certain way that you might expect. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Hey, look, these guys are rock stars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and even if you take all that into account, they're still more grounded than Dave is.
Well, I understand.
Depending on the day.
No, but there's different. It's funny. They're different. They're totally different. There's times when Dave's more grounded, and there's other times when Ed's more. It's weird. Look, these guys are geniuses, and part of being a genius comes with a lot of quirks. Just ask Albert Einstein. I mean, all the world's greatest geniuses come with a lot of quirks, and that's just part of who they are. We're here because we love Van Halen, all forms of Van Halen, all members of Van Halen, all aspects of Van Halen. We like to discuss it. No one's bashing anybody. We love Eddie and Alex. We love their music.
Right.
We want to celebrate
and like I said And like I said before, remember, these guys have been through the war.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
So you gotta cut them a little slack.
Yeah. No, definitely. They look, they grew up as immigrant kids coming from another country. It's a different story. So we're on to letter number 12, and that comes from Heath McCoy. And Heath says, great episode, guys. And he's referring to our last episode with Andy. And he says, great episode, guys. Telling insight into how out of touch with reality the Van Halen brothers were at that time. It sounds like in the famed fishbowl, Eddie and Alex became complete basket cases. Well, John Conklin, meet Heath McCoy.
You guys are harsh, man.
That's crazy. Anyway, look, I think John and Heath should get together and go bowling. The story is the story. It's not made up. It's a first-hand account. No one's calling anybody any names. They're all music geniuses, and we're just here to enjoy the intricacies that go along with that. Letter number 13, and the last letter of the evening. Lucky number 13 goes to Robert Burton, and he says, thanks again for an awesome show and all the work that you put into it. Your production values are clearly improving, and I love the little audio snippet outtakes at the end of each episode lately. I love even more the fact that you've been doing it for enough shows that you're starting to develop all these mini traditions. Keep up the awesome work. We're listening and noticing. Now, I want to ask you, Sammy's Wide Open Space, the song, do you feel like it sounds like Grateful Dead's Standing on the Moon? Check it out. Another homage? So this is the clip of Sammy's Wide Open Space. And this is the clip of the Grateful Dead Standing on the Moon.
Standing on the moon, I got no cobweb on my shoe. Standing on the moon, I'm feeling so alone and blue. I see the Gulf of Mexico as tiny as a tear. Coast of California must be somewhere over here.
Now, Robert, I gotta be honest, I don't hear it. I don't. I think Sammy's song is way better, but I don't hear it. What about you, Dave?
I didn't hear it either, actually.
Yeah.
I listened to the Dead song first, not knowing what we were referencing it to, because you sent it to me and said, hey, listen to this for the podcast, so I did. And then I read the letter, and I'm like, oh. So I do see how they're kind of similar, but if you hadn't pointed it out, I would never make the connection.
Absolutely.
So sorry, man, I don't hear it.
Neither do I. And that wraps up our mailbag segment. And we are on to celebrating our 3rd anniversary at Van Halen Bash. You guys weren't there? Well, we're going to bring Van Halen Bash to you. So we go behind the scenes with Romeo Delight, the ultimate Van Halen tribute band. Dave and I interview them, and we do an acoustic song backstage. We come out, and we are doing a little intro interview with special guests from the crowd that you guys know and love, and then we're going to go right into clips from the shows. You guys can get a taste of what you missed if you weren't there. And that's all coming up next. Take a listen.
I'm not predicting it. I just say someday. We made too good of music together with Eddie and I and Van Halen. We had such a great thing for a long time. When it went sour, it wasn't just because of us. There was a lot of outside forces. Our manager died, and a new guy came in, and he just totally divided the band and conquered us, So I think there will come a time where Eddie's going to wake up and go, hey, man, I miss being friends with Sammy, if nothing else. Or I would love to, make that music again, or play those songs again. Because they have no choice. They've got Sam or they got Dave, and they can't find a new guy. They already tried that; it didn't work. So it's like it's inevitable if Eddie and Al want to play music for the rest of their life. Someday they're going to have to come and deal with me. And it's like, I'm pretty easy to deal with.